You're joking, right?
Well, I'm trying to be hopeful. I'm trying to be optimistic about that.
Well, I guess you're too young to be a little pessimistic like me. The fucking things I see out there, people are stupid. What up, Ronnie, bro?
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. The last few, today and yesterday, I had 2 people that were put in the hospital, friends of mine, and it's been, the last couple hours, it's really
So
been
we
making
can't hang
me,
out with you.
Why?
Because you're going to put someone else in the hospital. Things come in 3. Oh, here we go.
Actually, it should be.
Yeah, good one. 3 times the charm. See? Comes in 3. See? Told you that.
No, but it's like, it's crazy.
Sad. Well, we hope everybody's okay.
Yeah.
They're going to be okay, but it's sad.
You just, when we were coming over here in the car, Bryce and I were saying, we're like, it's actually crazy. You don't think that people my age are even capable of dying, you know? I literally don't think I'm like.
All right, this is a stupid conversation.
Why?
Who wants to talk about death? It's a Saturday afternoon. We're on location in Miami. It's beautiful. We got our friends here. We got an audience
just bringing
watching.
up the
I like talking about
the vulnerabilities.
I like
my vulnerabilities
it's bad enough my
of
friends
my mind.
It's bad enough Mom invited our friends and they said yes, they're going to come to Miami. We got to talk about death now. Come on.
You're so negative with your friends.
I love my friends. You kidding me? It's one of my best, closest friends.
But
I've known him
that's the first compliment. That's the first compliment I've heard.
That's
you say.
what guys do, right?
Like, I don't.
EJ, isn't that what guys do?
I don't constantly say to my friend, "Oh, I'll say." Oh my God, you look so stupid, but I don't say I hate my friend.
I never said hate my friends. I said I don't want him to come. Mom invited him. I don't want him. But I love my friend. I've known him for long enough.
I love my friend, but I hate hanging out with him.
I've known him long. I've known your mother, just so you know.
Okay.
Just so you know.
No, I do know.
Word up. Shout out to my bitches, EJ. Whoa, 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 whoa. Word up. Do that side. Turn me on. All right. So so we hope everybody's okay.
I was sharing my vulnerabilities, but yeah, we don't have to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bronny.
No.
And someone your age should not think about death, honestly. I don't think you should. I think it's okay, like, to value life and appreciate your life. And it's sad that 2 people you know are in a hospital, different incidents.
One of their friends passed away.
Oh my God!
Sad. I don't need to go into. I'm not going to go into all the details. Sad. But like that all just happened, and it's not like It's just crazy that like literally.
It is.
Knock on wood. I could drive home after this.
Oh
and just,
my God!
And just bloop off the face of the earth.
Oh my God! Could you imagine? You're retarded.
No, but that's
okay. So how
scary.
is it? How is everything else? So you started law school yesterday.
Yeah, to pivot.
Yeah, full pivot.
Yeah.
Started law school.
I started law school.
Yeah,
I had my first class.
You have food in your teeth again. That's all right.
I'm saving it for later.
Oh, nice. So you started your first class, and you already have a lot of reading, which is no big deal for you, but you like it?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I was reading yesterday and today, and it's a lot, but I was, like, enjoying what I was reading.
I think it's great.
I guess I have a leg up in that, like, so
one
of the books, we have to read, like, this whole book, and it's 500 pages, and all the kids yesterday were, like, all the other kids, most of them to me are kids, most of the other students were, like, oh my God, that was such a big...
I was stressed the fuck out if I had to read 500 pages.
Big task for them to have to read 500 pages in 5 days. And I was like, that's a normal task for me. So already I was like,
you're bragging about that?
No, I'm just saying I wasn't bothered by that
but
assignment.
I told you, you're an avid reader.
But a lot of people were like bothered.
Okay, but most people don't read the way you read. Seriously.
He's doing pantomime.
But most people don't read the way you,
I know,
you
but
love
that's what I'm
reading
saying.
and learning.
Like
so that's huge. Let me ask this question. I don't know the answer, but the fact that you grew up with your dad being a lawyer, you think that sort of helps you in any way or no?
It probably will at some point. I mean, I've only had one class.
Are you going to the basement?
Go
to the elevator, to the basement.
We have a live studio audience that are doing pantomimes off.
Oh, that's a good one. You can't go that
his
low.
Back. He's too old to do low.
He went 6 inches.
He got to his nipples below the thing.
Okay, good.
His knees don't work that well.
No, he's an old man. I'm surprised he's not wearing cargo shorts. He's going downstairs. We have a duplex. I know that.
I don't know. It's probably an age thing too. Like most of the other people in my class are 23, 24.
Right out of college, and the senior year they partied. Right, seriously.
Yeah, they're 22 through 24, and so they've never experienced the real world.
Plus, you're 27 going on 40.
Yeah,
right.
But like in the whole orientation week, right? Like we had.
Tell about the intro of one of the girls.
We had like 3 I mean, the thing too though is like we in one of our sessions in orientation, it was like an honor code session, and it was all about like the administration scaring us into like being responsible.
So no chat GTP.
Well, that was one thing they talked about, but like the main thing was like they were like your professional life starts now. Like, we urge you to go through your social media, purge anything that you're even a little questionable. Just get rid of it. Like, when you apply for the bar, they're going to go through all these things and you don't want anything. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, this podcast guy has me fucked.
Oh, you're right.
Well, so
you're right.
So I sit down before, that was the first session we had on Monday. So it was like the first thing we did. I sit down in the class and this guy sits next to me, and it's just my personality, especially we're in orientation. So it's like, everyone's new, everything's new. So of course, every time I sit next to someone new, I'm going to turn to them and say, "Hey, what's up? I'm Bronson. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?"
I'd be like, "Hey, fuck you. I don't need another friend." All right, go ahead.
No, but like a lot of the people were like nervous, or they're shy, or it's just not their personality.
Their personality.
So I was like, I'm going to introduce myself to everyone. These are the people I'm going to be spending the next 3 years with. I'm going to start to get to know them now, and I might as well do the introductions. So I sit next to this kid, go, "Hey, my name is Bronson. What's up?" And he goes, "You got a podcast, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh, that's so funny that you know it." And I was like, "I hope you like saw a good clip." And he was like, "Yeah, I saw it on TikTok a few times. I don't remember what it was, but it's always been funny." And then I say, "Yeah, I'm glad you saw a good one, because I'm a little nervous about like some of the students here being like sticklers and assholes, and like so PC, and seeing some of my clips and like bringing them up to the administration." Now, I know everything I've said on this show.
Then you let me fucking handle at that point.
I know everything I've said in the show because I've said it and I edit all the clips, right? So like, I know everything that's been put out there, and I would stand by everything I said. Like, I don't think I've said anything bad. I know I haven't.
But even if you did say something bad, you're allowed to.
Right. And you never, but you just never know. Like, nowadays, college environment, people are like, trying to be competitive or whatever. You never know. So I'm saying this to him and he's like, "Yeah, I think you'll be fine." And I was like, "Let's just keep it on the down low that I have this podcast." And then they launch into this whole thing. "Your social media presence will follow you for the rest of your life." And the kid and I keep turning to each other, and I'm like, "Oh shit,
yeah, fuck them." First Amendment speech.
I'm not worried about it, like at all. It is what it is, and the things are already out there, right? Like, so there's nothing you can do.
It hasn't really affected me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and it's all out there. And I would say everything. I stand by everything I say. It was just funny, the timing, and then the school is like
the irony.
All these things.
Did they say to you, "Look to your left, look to your right"? One of you won't be here. They did that to us when our first class.
No, they like are very much. This is a community.
Nurturing,
not nurturing. They're just like these are the people. Instead of look to your left, look to your right, one of you's not going to be here. They're like, look to your left, look to your right. These are your future partners, your future deal makers, your future judges. So make those relationships now, because this is your network.
Yeah, you're gonna find even more. You're gonna be like, "Fuck, people are so stupid. How do they become lawyers?" You're gonna see. Well, you saw when you worked, for the past year in a law firm. You see how people are.
Yeah, but also like so orientation. We were just sitting through like panels, like that honor code thing, right? There were just different ones. There was one on like how to manage your stress, which is like, really, you guys need to teach us this.
Some people do.
There's one on just like random stuff, right? One on like how to access the library.
I think they have to do these things.
Yeah.
They have to.
And it's like, it was nice actually, because it got me like, it gets you to campus, meeting other people, walking around. So you like, then
it's like in a deposition when you say where you're from.
It's a warm up.
It's softening them up.
Exactly. So I actually enjoyed it, but that's literally the extent of orientation was, right? It was 9 to 2 of that every day for 3 days. So not a big deal. On our 4th day, we had like a community service day where like they broke us up.
What'd you have, you plant trees?
No, I like organized diapers into like packages. So
that's my money well spent. I'm glad
it was 2 hours. And we have to do 25 hours of pro bono work each semester. Like, we have to. Okay. So this counted towards that anyways.
Okay. Organized diaper. I ask you to fucking help. What about when I need to reset the garage clicker for my car? Is that pro bono? Is that a trigger for you?
No. But it was nice. Like, they give them these diapers to like low-income mothers who can't afford it. Whatever. So that's nice.
It's good. I think
it's
great.
But when we were doing that, we were like in a big session before we like broke off and went to our respective places. We were like in a group of 100, and the head of the group, who was a third-year law student, she was like, "I know orientation has been so stressful for you. I know they're throwing a lot at you, and I know it's like a lot to take in now." And I was like, "What?
Welcome to the world, and have good luck passing the bar if you're worried about that."
And then I was talking to other students, and they were like, "Oh, it's so unfair that they threw all this stuff at us the week before school starts. We should have been like." They were already stressed. And I was like,
"Why can't it be the week school started? This is the week."
But I was like, "You're stressed now,
dude.
We just sat and learned about the honor code."
You're a Bloom. You're a chief. Many people are Indians. Remember that.
I was just shocked at how like they literally already couldn't cope. And I'm like,
no, yeah, this is the world we live in.
And then we're in class. So
you
all
don't
of
see
the
it
kids,
now among just regular people in your generation. We talk about how they're an Adderall, Ativan, all this stuff, you know, Xanax, and people can't function.
Yeah.
Because we created, like what that guy said, weak times create strong men, strong men. No, but it's the truth.
Yes, it
weak,
is.
When it starts off saying, look around, these are your people, this or that, we all got each other's back, we're a community. It's that little cushion. It's that safety net. You know, a little fear in your life. When they said to us,
or a safety net, like I had a safety net growing up always, and it helped me.
No, but what I'm saying is when they said look to your left, look to
I
your
can
right.
take the risks.
No, but the point is when you know you could be one of those three that are not going to be here, you better fuck and you want to be here. You better work hard to make sure you're there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about that. After
I'm saying, but that's a kick in your fucking ass to keep you going.
Yeah. So in a lot of the, like, a lot of times I was like talking to different people and stuff. They were like, oh, I'm so nervous for cold calling, right? Because that's like a big thing in law school is that the professor will just be like, they have their sheet of names and they'll just be like, okay, Bronson, what did you think was the main issue?
That's what they do, right.
And then you just have to give
no
an
big
answer
deal,
in front of the whole class.
Which is no big deal.
No.
That's all we did.
But a lot of the kids were like so nervous about that, like literally like already having stress before we even went to a class. And so I kept trying to tell these people, like I felt so old doing this. Like I felt like I was like being the annoying like parent, but I kept being like, it doesn't matter. Like literally, it doesn't matter.
Is it anonymous grading?
Yeah.
Yeah, so none of that stuff matters anyway. But they could give you a weight of like your participation in class,
which they do, but also like the main thing people were nervous about was being embarrassed in front of everyone if they got the answer wrong. And I'm like,
people care. I know.
But I'm like, who cares if you get the answer wrong? If I get called on it and I literally don't know something, and let's say I get it wrong, I would say I don't know the answer if I really didn't know, right? Or I'd bullshit something up.
Correct.
But then we were in class.
It's law is a lot of bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, and it's
like not medicine. Either you fucking know what the artery is, you can make
Right.
up any argument in law.
Well, a lot of the people in the panels through orientation would ask questions, and they kept saying like the main answer that you'll learn in law school is it depends. Like it's not yes or no.
Correct.
So then it's even more so like you should not be nervous at all because just make a point and argue it. Like don't.
Correct.
So then we were in class on Friday, and the professor was like, "Okay, I want you guys to break up into groups of 3." We were like going over this case, and he's like, "I want you 3 to write up what the procedural history is and tell the class. You 3 to write up the reasoning. You 3 the order, all that stuff, whatever." Right. So I was in this group of 2 23-year-old girls, and because that's mostly the whole class. They said we're like 70-30 women to men
Because the women are looking for a husband.
but they said that's
what I'm telling
normal.
you.
The dean in a speech he ran through like stats of the class, and they said maybe like 67-30.
And they get their JD degree to the MRS degree, then they stop practicing their JD. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But he said that was normal. He said it's mostly way more women. I guess women go to school more.
They're looking for a husband.
You think all these women that are in this course are?
I think that a lot of them once they become wives, they stop.
Well, yeah, but as they should.
I can't. Woo! Them were fighting words for those fucking women's rights.
I mean, like as they should if they want to.
Know your role, bitch. That's what you're saying. You can say it
as they should if they want to. A man probably shouldn't
No,
just
a
get married
man-
and then give up their work.
Wouldn't it be nice?
No, I don't think you'd want that.
I'm
You would
teasing.
want that?
No, I don't want to be. Like I have a
Right.
buddy of mine I'm really close with. He just recently retired. I'd be fucking miserable.
But I also think it's
Teasing.
different.
He's
It's
not- okay.
different 60 plus, right? But I'm
I know,
talking
I'm
about
teasing.
like at 25, at 30,
I think the man should be the
gets
provider.
their value, and whether it's right or wrong, that's just the way our DNA is and the way our society is. I think it's a mixture of both. That like a man's value and purpose comes from their work, whether it used to be being a warrior in the war,
it gives you a purpose
or
in life.
hunting
To get up
now
every day.
Now it's having a job, right? It
I
used to be
agree.
like going out on the hunt, right? That's what we evolved for. Now the hunt is you going to your office and making money. That's
And making a
bringing back
difference.
the bacon. It used to be
Right.
a pig that you would hunt.
Yep.
Now it's money, right?
I get it.
But for women, that's not where their value came from,
Right.
evolutionarily. So I think it's totally. That's why I said I think a woman should if they want to,
I agree.
but a man I don't think should if he wants to.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
I agree.
If a man is 25 and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna get married and my wife can work, the man's less of a man.
I agree with that.
But if the woman says that, I think the woman's more of a woman.
Well, we believe in old-fashioned values. That's just the way we do.
Yeah, I don't know
We
if
do.
more of a woman, but yeah. Yeah.
That's what we do. And I think even in the progressive women that say, no, I could, whatever, I'm telling you, they still want to be taken care of.
Well, all those women who are working, like they're like the boss bitches, right? That's what they like call themselves. That's like that the term for that type of woman. They're all the depressed ones. They're literally all the depressed ones on medication. The women who are stay-at-home moms raising their children. I'm speaking out of my ass. I have no idea. Yeah,
go ahead. I think that no matter what, whether it's the boss bitch or whatever it is, I still think a woman wants to be taken care of by a man. I still think she wants to feel secure. She would like the man to be a man and act like a man so she can feel like a woman. And I think that's, a lot, and I'm making general statements, but a lot of women say, I'm going into my career, and that's priority over everything else. It's because maybe they had a bad experience with in relationships, or they have a hard time with relationships, or whatever it is. And of course, there are just some women who just, that's what they want to do, and I get it. But I still think people would like to have a relationship. That's my opinion.
Yeah, of course. But so, yeah, we were in class, and we broke up into these groups, and the two girls and I, we were going through our thing, and then they were like, oh, who wants to talk in front, like, who wants to do the talking? And I was like, I'll totally do it. Like, I don't care at all.
Right.
And then they were like, and then I literally I gave them like a lecture. I was like, guys, it doesn't matter. And we already been in the class for an hour. I was like, this guy's nice. Like, and they were like, yeah, he seems super nice. I was like, yeah. So let's say you raise your hand and get the answer wrong. So what?
Big
and they were like, but it's going to be embarrassing. And I was like, no, it's not. We're all in your shoes.
Half the people don't know the answer.
Not yet that. And also it's like, everyone is in your shoes, so, and none of us want to be called on. So if you're the unlucky one that got called on and you get it wrong, we're all going to be like, oh, damn. We're not going to be like, fuck that person.
Ron, some people have a hard time in public speaking. It's just the way it is.
And then one of the girls was like, oh, my God, you're so confident. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's just that it doesn't matter. They're not going to kick you out of school for getting a question wrong. They want your money.
That's just people, Bronny.
Yeah. And then the girl that I was sitting next to, super nice girl. So she's listening like I'm not trashing you. I just want you to learn. The professor said like, oh yeah, and this assignment, there's a due date or whatever, and he didn't say what the due date was, and so she was like, she whispered to me, she's like, oh my God, when is the due date? And I just raised my hand. I was like, excuse me,
Correct.
When is the due date?
Correct.
And then he was like, oh, it's going to be September 18th.
Correct.
And I was like, just raise your hand and ask. But no one did. I was like it was me and like one other person that were the only ones answering when he posed something. And I was like, I don't want to be the annoying person, but like we can't sit in silence.
Listen, even in court, if we have a hearing and the judge starts rattling off how he wants the right to proposed order, he'll be like, counselor, submit an order. And I'll sometimes say, Judge, just for clarification, you want this, did I leave anything out? It's the same exact thing.
Right. It's like this professor's just a person.
It's just a guy that wipes his ass. They're no fucking better than you are.
And it's like they don't care. And if they are like pompous and care, then I don't care about their respect anyways.
No, but people are afraid.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. That's the world we live in.
Yeah, I think it's just people need to like grow up a little bit.
Never gonna happen. Not when you fucking coddle and spoon feed. Even mom does that with Burke sometimes. She'll call him up with this what I go, let the fucking guy be. We just spoke. Like, let it be.
Yeah.
But it's
But I've also always had that proclivity.
You get that
I think it's just naturally.
You get that from me, brother.
Which I love. I think it's a great quality.
And I think a lot of it starts from the parenting when the kids are young, giving them the self-worth and confidence and letting them be more independent.
And the biggest thing is to like make the mistakes on your own, mess up, and then like be like, oh, I survived. That's like the biggest thing. I remember I've told this story so many times, but it literally has like changed my whole perception of things when I was at that Turtle Island camp.
Well, that was an extreme thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it was an extreme thing, and I was in an extreme situation, and I was very uncomfortable and very out of my element, and I wanted to cancel it. Remember, I wanted to leave.
I remember. I don't blame you.
I wanted to come home.
I don't blame you.
And I wrote a note out to you and Mom, like a letter, right? And they would sent it, like, come pick me up. I don't like it here. I want to leave, whatever, all that shit. And then I said to myself, I guess I just had the maturity or whatever, and I'm so thankful that I did this to myself.
You were young.
Yeah, I was 13 at the time. I said, hold on to this for a day or two more. And then if you still feel this way after 5 days rather than 3, then you gave it your best shot. And then you can go home and you don't have your tail between your legs, right? You're not a bitch if you did that. A day later, I was a little more accustomed. Then by the next day, the 5th day, when I was going to send the letter, I was like, you know what? I got this. By the end of the camp, I fucking loved that I didn't want to leave. And then I remember still thinking now, like, I can I can get through anything as long as I just have to accept it and do it.
Do you ever keep in contact with anybody from Turtle Island?
No.
Yeah, I remember
none of them even have like internet. You know?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's people are afraid to come outside their comfort zone. So
and you don't learn that you can survive it unless you're pushed out of it.
Okay, so
you do
like
survive.
even this woman that my friend's wife last night, we had this birthday party, and we saw her at the Boca Resort. We were having coffee outside, and Banks was there, and she would not come over because she was so afraid of Banks. She's afraid of dogs. So the husband's been in my house, and he's like, he wants the wife to come to our house, but she won't come to the house because of the dog. And I said, you're a 58-year-old woman. Our dog's not going to bite you. And what better dog than to come outside your comfort zone and see that dogs are okay? And Banks,
and it's okay to be afraid of a dog.
It's okay, but Banks,
to let it ruin your life.
But Banks is a friendly dog, right? So she's so fearful. She won't even entertain coming over and petting the dog.
So then it's like, think if she has that mindset about that, then she has that mindset about all her fears.
Correct. So
because if you have like if you have to approach your fears, you can't just wallow in them.
I said these are great opportunities. I said, how do you grow as a person if you don't come outside your comfort zone?
Right.
I agree.
And then even like minuscule things that like today we were just at the coffee shop and I wanted a bag of beans and I always get the same beans. And so when I first went up, she said, sorry, we're out of those beans, but we have these ones. So then I was like, okay.
Right.
But then I saw on the back of the thing, the roast date, and I like to get it as
fresh
as possible.
Fresh, right.
And these weren't as fresh. So I went up and I saw a restocking. So I was like, I'm going to just go up and change
100%
to a fresh one. I'm going to ask. So when I went up, I saw that she had the beans I wanted. So I was like, oh, can I get those? And she was like, oh, actually, it's a price difference. I was like, yeah, let's exchange it. Even that, like, a lot of people would have the fear. It's not a huge fear, but like would have the fear of being like, of speaking up.
I think you taught that.
And then they wouldn't.
I think you taught that.
Woman's mindset of, I have a fear of dogs. I'm not even going to approach it. They would have, I have a fear of speaking up. I'm not even going to approach. And then they live a worse life because they don't have the things they want. I have the beans I want now because I spoke up.
But even...
And I did it nicely. I wasn't a dick about it.
There's also a culture like that, certain Jew alpha mentality. Like, we want a different seat. We want a different table. Like, even today at breakfast, we're with our friends.
Yeah.
And we were like, we want to sit inside. We want this. We want that. It's just, there's a certain cultural aspect,
but that's
too.
a good...
I agree.
Speak up for what you want.
I agree.
Within reason, obviously.
I agree.
Shit, that just reminded me of something, but I can't remember it now. Yeah, whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever.
So what else? Any interesting topics today?
Yeah, I do have interesting topics, but they're like they're
all over the place?
No, they're not all over the place. They all actually have like a similar vein. It's just like a total pivot.
Similar vein. Pivot.
What? Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But they're all international. So we're gonna take a break from America.
We're going abroad.
We're going abroad.
Oh, welcome to Daddy Issues Abroad.
Yeah, these are all international.
Wow. Now, why
topics.
do I care about international topics?
Because some...
I know, I'm teasing. I am teasing.
Some directly have to do with you. Some are just interesting. I doubt we're going to get to all of them. Some are just... And they're all like stuff that are happening right now. Some, though, are like, I think,
like
a precursor for World War III.
Okay, there's like House Hunters Abroad. This is
international.
Daddy Issues Abroad.
Yeah. Let's just go to the biggest one first because not a lot of people are talking about this. It's a huge thing, and I really do think that it's like so World War I started because of a little
What came first, World War I or World War II? Nice, Brian. I'm proud of you. That's a joke, you stupid people.
World War I started because of a little skirmish in the Balkans, right? Which is like a random part of the world. It happened in Serbia, right? Like, would you ever think the biggest war the world has ever seen would have been initiated in Serbia? Like,
no.
Why would... Right. So it's like a random
And I don't
place.
know a lot about my history. I'm not a history buff.
I am a history buff.
I know. You like that stuff.
So I'm seeing history play out in what's happening in the world nowadays. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. In Africa, in a few countries in Western Africa, there have been like military coups in the last couple weeks that have come out, and it's like extremely problematic because there's all these different alliances that are going into it. I don't know too much about it, so we'll read up on it, but I think it's not Cote d'Ivoire, but let's see. Let me get it. And then there's not only is it a problem for these people in Africa, and then not only is it a problem for the rest of the world, but it's a problem directly for America because we're already seeing it because of these coups and they're like basically they're in civil wars. It's Niger specifically. not Nigeria, Niger, which is a different country that a lot of people wouldn't even
They not even existed.
But we're starting to see waves of these people that are like refugees from these wars land in New York already. So it's like, even if you don't
Really? How they getting? They can afford to fly out here?
if you, I guess you spend all your life savings if you got to get out, right?
You go on in steerage?
Yeah, I mean, if you have to get out for life or death, right?
Good, let them go to New York. I don't give a fuck.
But like you were saying, why would I care about this? Like, it's been a couple weeks of these.
They get here illegally.
And they're already arriving inside our borders.
So they come inside our borders. They say they're traveling, just visiting, and then they stay here forever.
No. I think they say we're escaping. We're seeking
So they're refugees, and we allow them.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
Like, we're refugees seeking asylum. And then there's different rules for that. And so obviously if you're like coming from New Zealand, you can't seek asylum. What are you seeking asylum from? But if you're from Niger, like, yeah, they're in a war right now. So I guess let's just give a background to it. I'll read from an article because I don't know all the details.
Niger?
Yeah. So it's like Niger and then Burkina Faso are two different countries, but they're both involved in this similar war because of each other.
How many people in that country? 4?
No, these are... Okay, so this is the problem too. You, in your mind, right? Because Africa, to you, when you were a kid, was...
Jungles.
Yeah, it wasn't, but on the world stage, it was completely insignificant, right? Like, it didn't matter politically.
It never was.
Yeah.
Right.
It didn't matter politically, culturally, anything. But that's not the case anymore. I've talked about this in the show a lot, right? We've talked about how, I remember I've said to you, China has spent a lot of money in Africa.
Diamonds, cobalt, all that stuff.
Exactly. So a lot of our...
See, I listen.
Yeah. But so these are all things why this is so important. Because 50 years ago, Africa wasn't important. If there were internal skirmishes, it didn't matter.
Toto made a song called Africa.
But like, it's like...
Which is low-key a good song.
Yes, it's not even low-key. It's a great song.
Yeah, it is a good song.
What China was in the 70s and 80s, right? When you were a kid, you guys probably were like always worried, oh, China's going to take over the world. China is the new the new center of industry. China has so many people that their workforce is so cheap that we're shipping all our goods off to China, right? That was China.
Yes.
My generation's China is Africa. And Africa obviously is a continent. China is a country. But that's the way that the political world is going. Right, like China is on the outs, and I've talked about that on the show too. Right, we've talked about that a lot. China is done. Their population has completely declined. They don't have young people to replace the workforce. All their people are retiring, and they don't have the money to keep these factories so cheap. And they're only outsourcing. Right, so China doesn't have any resources. They have to get all their oil, all their electricity from other countries, all their metal, all this stuff.
What about that fried rice?
So as the world is getting more insular, which has been a thing over the last couple of years, right? Like everyone is getting more into their, especially since COVID, right? Like everyone's like, we need to be dependent on ourselves only. So China's fucked because they were completely dependent on the world.
I don't feel sorry for China. Fuck them.
No, I agree with you. But so then who's going to replace China is Africa. That's been the way it is. They have
which the Chinese are buying.
Right, exactly.
So it's China.
Yeah, but so
just located in Africa.
Yeah, but so that's why I'm saying like these when I brought up, I was like, there's all these international things, and you were like, but I don't care. But that's why I'm saying like these are going to be.
I feel very comfortable we have Biden protecting our country. Nothing's going to happen.
These are going to be the players for the next, generation of America.
China on the soil of Africa.
That's what China's trying, and so the thing is, there have been coups.
You think there's going to be Chanel stores in Africa?
There's going to be coups of, I mean, the thing, like, you think of Africa as like little villages, but in the last 20 years, Africa has been insanely developed.
There's not one skyscraper.
Yes, there is.
There's
there
really?
Insane sky. Yeah. There are a country like Nigeria, like or Lagos, which is a city. The capital of Rwanda, I forget what Rwanda is supposed to be.
The Black Panther?
No, that's Wakanda.
Nigeria, Wakanda.
But Wakanda's not a real place. Rwanda.
Are you serious?
Rwanda
is they don't have all that shit in there?
Rwanda's rated as one of the most advanced countries in the world right now.
Oh, come on.
Rwanda capital. Let's see. I'll show you pictures of their capital. It looks like a beautiful, modern metropolitan city.
They have water?
Yeah, see, but you think of Africa as backcountry, and it's not that.
30 cents a day can save that kid and bring drinking water.
Kigali. This is the capital of Rwanda, Kigali.
Wow.
This looks like it would be in America, doesn't it?
Wow.
This looks like it's like a Washington.
I don't see any animals, though. Where's the lions and shit?
No, but that's not here. See, so And look at this. And it's supposed to be one of the safest places in the world. This is like what they're projecting for the future. There's a lot of development going on. There's a lot of money because they have all the resources, right? So they're developing. So these coups are happening internally, but the big powers of the world, China, Russia, America, are trying to get involved. And that's why it's going to be such a problem. Because, I mean, I guess they should get involved, because if China's going to get involved, then we have to, right? We can't sit back.
So we're going to take more American taxpayer dollars and put it into fucking Africa and help build Africa?
No, not help build, help a war. That's what I'm worried about. We're going, if China's coming in, let me read some of the facts.
A war in Africa, you think?
Yeah, full on.
So now
I think there's going to be.
So we're going to spend more money in Africa. I think it's going to be worse than
more
Ukraine and
taxpayer
Russia. Fucking dollars going to the shit.
This one, I think, is going to be. This one is going to be necessary. It's like, so that's why I was comparing it to World War I, because World War I, there were all these alliances, right? So like they called it like the Balkan powder keg or something, because there were all these alliances set up. So it was like the US said, we're going to back the UK no matter what. And the UK said, we will back France no matter what. So then that means that we have to back France, right? So you see, like,
and fuck France.
But this was back in World War I, I'm saying.
I get it.
And then there was also the opposite, like Turkey and Russia were like, we're going to back each other no matter what. And there was a lot of pressures, right? There were a lot of economic pressures because the economy was really bad at the time. And there were a lot of political pressures because there were weak leaders. People wanted different land. There were wars that people didn't want to fight in. And then so there was one little skirmish that happened in Sarajevo, the city, which is like in Serbia, I think. One political guy was killed, and it set off a chain reaction of treaties and like how Russia, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we're not Ukrainian, America I'm talking about, right? But instantly everyone in America and the American government was like, we have to be on the Ukrainian side because we're anti-Russia. So that's what then, if you have, luckily we only really had it was like a few alliances. But with this Africa one, we have China involved, we have Russia involved, we have the EU involved, we have the US involved. So all you need is one little to launch the war.
But why do you think
thought
in
Ukraine
Africa?
was gonna be a war.
Why do you think the issue's in Africa?
Because that's where the future of the world is.
But what kind of you think a war on the ground?
Yeah.
Fighting and then over what?
And then a war between people.
Fighting over what though?
Over the control of Africa, and then also over
But Africa's not going to fight.
Yeah, Africa's involved in this situation.
Do they have an army?
We're using Africa Africa's a continent. There are many countries in Africa.
Whatever the fucking Rwanda, let's say. Do they have?
No, it's Niger and Burkina Faso specifically.
But do they have a fucking army?
Of course they do. What do you mean?
Why Canada doesn't?
Of course Canada has an army.
Do they really?
Of course.
No, I heard Canada doesn't have an army.
Yes, they have an army.
Are you sure?
It's not big and they don't have a lot of money behind it, but they have an army. But here's another, right? But Canada doesn't need a big army, because if someone fucking bombs Canada, they have the US's army to back them, right? We will, if China launches a bomb on Toronto, you don't think DC will be like, oh, we're going to war with China now? Of course they would. So that's what I'm saying. It's not that we're going to be like, we have to protect Niger. But if China comes in and kicks out a U.S.-backed
like an
government...
English friend. My friend Niger's coming over.
Like Nigel. So let's read some of the facts. So this is... no, that's an old one.
We can't do a follow advice.
No, because I can't get it off my phone.
I can pretend.
And I bet
this is anonymous.
I bet a lot of people listening haven't even heard of any of these things.
I think when you say Niger, I think you meant Nigeria.
Yeah, it's a different country. And it's not the N-word.
Different country?
Country.
No, what's with the N-word?
I said it's not the N-word.
Tease me.
It's spelled with one less G, but it's the same word otherwise.
Okay.
So this is an article that was posted... this is a little old too. This says Africa's coup belt spans the continent, a line of 6 countries crossing 3,500 miles coast to coast that has become the longest military rule corridor on Earth. This past week, military takeover in the West African nation of Niger toppled the domino in a band across the girth of Africa, from Guinea in the west to Sudan in the east, now controlled by juntas that came to power in a coup. All but one of them.
Were you just speaking English?
So I don't know what
there
juntas
wasn't
mean.
one word that sounded English to me.
You know what a coup is?
Yeah. That's when the baby goes,
A coup is when the military overthrows the government and then puts in their own power.
Gotcha. So what we should do.
So this says the last leader to fall was Niger's Mohamed Bazoum, a democratically elected American ally. See, so this is where it gets interesting. Democratically elected American ally who disappeared on Wednesday when his guards detained him at the presidential palace in the capital. His security chief now claims to be running the country. We have decided to intervene, General Tichani, Niger's new self-appointed ruler, said to the nation on Friday. This coup instantly reverberated far beyond Niger, a sprawling and impoverished country in one of the world's toughest neighborhoods. African leaders sounded the alarm over the latest blow to democracy on a continent where decades of hard-won advances are slipping away. Africa has suffered a serious setback, Kenya's president said. For the United States and its allies, the coup raised urgent questions about the fight against Islamist militants. The vast Samarkand region with links to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State are gaining ground. I'm very worried. Let's see, what else does it say? Does it say anything in here about China? Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, speaking at a news conference on Saturday, warned that the U.S. could end its financial support and security cooperation for Niger if the president was not reinstated. Though officials say the U.S. would be reluctant to go that far, Mr. Blinken was unequivocal. Any American withdrawal could open a door to Russia.
Why, is America in there?
No, so the president of Niger, who now is gone because the head of the military kicked him out, and we don't know where he is. They could have just killed him. He was our guy. We put him in. That's the problem because we put him in.
I wasn't following that. Okay,
he was democratically elected, but then again, he was democratically elected with the help of American money because that's America's main bread and butter in world politics is let's install sympathetic people to us in their governments, and then we can. Okay, they'll be friends with us. They'll be allies,
right?
And then
we put you there. But now we want to call
right. We put you there. So now, if China comes on knocking on your door for your cobalt, you're going to turn them away.
Okay,
but that guy's gone now. They killed him. Suppose we don't know what they did to him, but not every time, but a lot of times that America's done that in the past, it's failed, right? Like Cuba, we tried and they overthrew. Venezuela, we tried and they overthrew. We've tried that a lot of times, the American government, and it's actually been extremely worse in the other way. But the problem with this one, the part that scares me so much.
I get why America does that, but it really should be people who get voted in by their own country.
I agree with you, but that's not American foreign policy.
And also, it's not a lot of policy in some of these countries where it's just done by brute force, not by democracy.
Right. So America, on the surface, the rationale why we're doing that is these countries are incapable of having free and fair elections. America, as the leader of democracy, we created democracy. We're a beacon of freedom. We're going to come to your country and help you have freedom. Now, that's the surface level. That's not really why they're doing it.
No, I get it. They don't.
And that's not really what they do anyways, because most of the time, I bet this president, and they say democratically elected, I bet America rigged the election in Niger to get their guy in.
Could be.
Because that's usually what they do.
They did it here against Trump.
But the problem with this is that not only do Americans want this, but also Chinese and Russians, right? So here it says, the sight of Russian flags being waved by coup supporters in the capital this past week echoed similar scenes after a coup in Burkina Faso recently, which is another country in Africa, a neighboring country. The flags do not mean the Kremlin was behind the coup, analysts say, but they do symbolize how Russia has positioned itself as the torchbearer of anti-Western and especially anti-French sentiment in Africa in recent years. President Vladimir Putin...
They want communism.
No, they want... So it's spheres of influence, right? Like in the Cold War.
They don't want democracy and freedom, and Russia doesn't want that.
They just want... how we want the president to be our guy. They want the president to be their guy.
But they don't want westernization.
They don't want westernization.
Democracy. Right. They don't want that.
Right.
They want government complete control and power.
Yeah. During the Cold War,
which is what America has under the disguise of who you vote in.
Right. Same exactly. Shit. We're authoritarian too.
It's all bullshit.
That's why every country America goes into, every poor country,
they fuck it up.
Not only do they fuck it up, but the people in the country are like, get the fuck out of our country. You're making it worse.
Right, we don't...
Iraq, Afghanistan.
I need fucking Biden tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this. I need the government to take my tax and invest in my Social Security money. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and it's not only that. At least they're our government. Imagine if
someone else came in. Russia came in and said...
Imagine if Germany came into our country and started telling us what to do. We'd be like, get the fuck out.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all. I've always
I think America should worry about your own first. Like I always say, am I going to invest in Boca local high school and Boca the town, or am I going to do Hialeah first?
Yeah,
and so take care of my own first.
That was one of Trump's big policy things: was America first.
I agree with that. Make America great.
Changed in from the 50s until the 2000s, right? And then it changed in the 2010s. The Republican Party was the one of, we need to go spread American democracy around the world. And the Democrats were saying, no, what are we doing? We need to only focus on America. We have no place in Iraq. We have no place in Afghanistan. Like it was, right? Cheney and Bush were the ones that took us there. They were the neocons, right? They were super Republican.
Bush did
but
fuck that
it's
up.
changed now.
Should never gone that.
And now the Democratic Party is the one saying, we need to go be putting our people everywhere in the world. Ukraine, Kuwait, all these places. And the Republicans are saying, no, bring everyone home.
It has changed because Bush did that. I remember Bush.
Right,
yeah.
and that was a bit. And the liberals
Bad
were
move.
saying, "Bring our soldiers home," but now it's the Republicans saying, "Bring our soldiers home from Ukraine and all that shit." Right, so that's totally changed.
Interesting.
But remember in the Cold War, I mean, or if you,
I was freezing.
But if you think about the Cold War, right, it was about spheres of.
Damn it!
It was about spheres of influence, right? The whole thing was the Iron Curtain, right? You know that saying, how like
because that was in the wintertime.
no.
You
know
the
what the
Cold
Iron
War
Curtain
meant. Yeah.
But the Iron
Curtain is something when you go for an X-ray, they put over your crotch so you can have children.
The Iron Curtain was the idea.
Or is that with the Wizard of Oz when you be like, oh my God, and like, courage, I want courage.
Oh God.
That's a pretty good,
yeah.
Courage.
The idea of the Iron Curtain was...
That was the line for everybody.
the idea of the Iron Curtain was that the Soviet Union has their people instilled in Poland, Czech Republic, Ukraine, Bosnia, right? All these countries, those are under their influence. And then Germany, France, Spain, those are under our influence, right? So it was like the Western world versus the Eastern world. That changed after the Soviet Union fell, but that's what they're trying to do again in Africa. So instead of in Europe, they're trying to do it. So America, we have Niger. You guys have Burkina Faso. We have the Congo. But that's going to be a problem. And not only is it going to be a problem.
And poor people in Africa, like, what about us?
Yeah,
it's
we want
ours.
our control.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Right. So it's a huge problem because not only, at least in the Cold War, it was literally just like the U.S. and Russia. But now it's U.S., Russia, China, and then Africa wants their own control over it. So it's going to be that's why I'm saying I think this is a precursor for World War III because you have U.S., Europe,
World War
Russia,
III would be
Africa,
there,
China.
though, not here.
Well, it would be all over. Like World War II was all over. They were fighting in Japan. There was fighting in Europe. There was fighting in Hawaii. You know, there was fighting all over. So
interesting.
I think it would start. That's why I'm so nervous about this. So here it says,
more money for nonsense, and
this is all happening right now.
Oh my God!
It says President Vladimir
Just lower
Putin,
interest rates.
President Vladimir Putin of Russia sought to exploit that gap at this past week's Africa summit in St. Petersburg, where he proposed to liberate African countries from colonialism, even as its country's own Wagner mercenaries have exploited African gold and diamonds and committed atrocities. So you can see they're already starting to pin each other. The American media is saying Russia is doing bad shit in Africa, so we need to get in, right? They said he's committed atrocities. And then in Russia, Putin is speaking to his own people and saying, we need to liberate Africa from colonialism, meaning the Americans. The Americans are going in there and taking them over. We need to liberate them. So it's like we're going to have a war in Africa. We're going to fight each other over the Africans. It says, for Wagner's mercurial boss, the run of coup is a business opportunity. His forces already operate in Mali and Sudan, which is in the coup belt, as well as the Central African Republic and Libya. So all these countries are having political upheavals.
If Trump was there, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
Things would be settled.
Hovering on the margins of the St. Petersburg summit this past week, the head of the Wagner Group praised the coup in Niger and proposed sending his own armed fighters to help, meaning to help keep the American president out of the thing. But if the coup belt has become a theater of geopolitical maneuvering, the coups themselves are rooted in an explosive mix of local flavors. Then it keeps going on. In Guinea, the coup leaders justified their actions by citing anger at widespread corruption. In Mali and Burkina Faso, they claim to have an answer to Islamic militancy. In fact, insurgent violence has spread under... Yeah, so it keeps going. All these... I want to get one on China that talks about what China's doing in it. But it's so scary. And then also, I'll show you a video of the people...
We don't have more money to give away to these fucking places. It's terrible, Bronson.
Yeah, so this is from last week in Reuters. From Beijing. China's foreign China's foreign ministry said on Thursday it believes Niger and other regional countries have the wisdom and capability to find a political resolution to the current situation, referring to the last week.
Sounds like the Niger government has no say in this. It's a fight between everybody else.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like all these countries are now using this African turmoil to fight each other. Nigerian soldiers announced last Wednesday that President Mohamed Bazoum had been removed from power. The coup had been widely condemned by Western countries, and West African nations have imposed sanctions on the country, calling for the ousted government to be restored. China's foreign ministry said, "We believe that Niger." Oh yeah, that's what I just said. It is also China also called for relevant parties to restore normal order as soon as possible. Then the foreign ministry said, "President Bazoum is a friend of China, and it is hoped that his personal safety is guaranteed and that relevant parties in Niger peacefully manage differences." The statement did not refer to the events as a coup and did not specify which countries it was referring to. The ministry added that it, quote, attaches high importance to the safety of Chinese nationals in Niger, which there are none, and that it has directed them to strengthen safety and preventative measures and prepare for an emergency. The foreign ministry and China's embassy in Niger will continue to remain close. China did not confirm whether there were any Chinese casualties, but we've talked for years on this podcast about how China has been trying to make inroads in Africa. They've been buying up.
Well, we know they have been doing it.
Yeah. So it's like, you don't think if Russia and America start getting involved, China's going to be like, hey, these are our assets.
Right, but China is an ally with Russia.
Only in their hatred of America.
That's true.
But China and Russia fight for
their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, they both fight for their own stage on the political stage. They fight for resources, right? Like China wants to give
a terrible world we live in.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's such not. You would think today's day and age, people have grown. Fucking it's just crazy.
This is from foreignpolicy.com. It said, who benefits from Niger's coup? Most global powers with a military presence or financial stake in the country stand to lose from instability, and that will put pressure on the military junta. I don't know what junta means. United States and France condemned the coup. Yeah, so we can go on and on with this. I just wanted to bring it up to everyone because not many people are talking about this.
No, I never even knew about it. Never knew. Didn't even know.
Here, look at this. This is from Time from last week. Why many Nigerians want Russia in and the West out. That's terrifying.
But again, I know, but that's just a caption. Remember, you don't know what's real and what's not real.
Right, but even so, if America, right, this is the American media. If the American media is telling Americans that there's a threat to our, that Russia's going to take over the world, right? If you read that.
But this can be a preface for, again, you said a lot of money's made in war. This is a preface for them to start doing this.
Exactly, and that's all these
more
things.
More corruption.
Exactly, it's just a problem. That's what I'm saying I'm worried about. I'm saying I think we're going to be going to war in Africa, which is like, why the fuck are we going to war in Africa? If the American media is saying Russia is going to be invading Africa, and if Russia...
So America can't let them do, because we want Africa, we don't want Russia to become too powerful.
We don't want... it's not even... The American media and government won't say we want Africa, which is secretly what they want.
Can't have Russia have
They're just going to say we can't let them have it, which I also agree with.
I do agree with that.
But right. And then in Russia, Putin, right, we read what he said to his people in a press conference. He addressed the nation and said, we need to liberate Africa from the Americans taking them over. And it's like, of course, the Russians are going to then say, yeah, we say the complete opposite. So I get it. But that's what leads to a war, is when both sides are propagandizing to each other, saying we need to stop them. Then we're, as Americans, going to be like, fuck yeah, we need to stop them. Go to Africa. Go fight for us. And then we're in another war. And this one will be probably bigger worse than the Ukraine one. Yep. Because we have China's involvement. We have Africa's involvement.
And we have if they got Ukraine, it's not like Africa is much more valuable. We can't let them take Africa.
Yeah. And there's also, Ukraine was at one point part of Russia. There was precedent for that. It wasn't the craziest thing. If Niger became Russian, that would be that would change the whole world. You know what I mean? Like if all these mines and these gold deposits and cobalt and lithium and workforce, right? Africa now has supplanted China with low-paying workforce. So that all these factories that are going to make cheap things, China wants that, Russia wants that, and there's no precedent for it. At least with Ukraine, when Russia was like, we want to take over Ukraine, there was an argument to be made, like, Ukraine was part of Russia. There are Ukrainians that want to be part of Russia. So
terrible.
Yeah, it's just
terrible. Hey, how's our friend?
Okay.
Did you see him?
But he's alive.
And now he must have been very happy that you came.
Mom and Bryce just got back from the hospital.
He's on fentanyl?
Yeah, they give you medical fentanyl.
Okay, so quick question. Was this because he had an allergic reaction to what he ate? And did his mom get there? Fuck.
Maybe peanut oil.
Okay, and why he didn't fucking have his EpiPen?
All right,
All right, we're almost done anyway.
Yeah. So I just...
All right, we're done in a couple minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Downstairs, the boys are in there.
I just read this. This said Niger had been the last pro-Western holdout. So, right? Which I didn't know.
So in favor of American views.
The last
So
one.
they didn't want it then. Then let them not be that way.
No, but this says Niger had been the
Bryce
last...
is destroying the bathroom.
Niger had been the last pro-Western holdout in a region known as Africa's coup belt, fueling concerns the military takeover could destabilize the region and hurt long-standing counterterrorism efforts there. So I guess that means that all the other countries that have been having this coup in the coup belt are not favorable to America. And Niger was the last one that the president was our guy, and they just kicked him out.
But they don't want him.
That's worrisome.
I know, but shouldn't Africa be able to do what they want to do with the country?
Yes, but if I agree.
I understand what
but
you're
if
saying.
you look at it on a political scale, right?
Get
it. I agree, African nations should
not
be able to do what they want.
Not as such a rich soil type of country that we need.
Yeah,
we don't want our enemies having it.
Right, because if you think about it...
But they still should be allowed, just like Russia is run a certain way. It's Russia.
But that's why wars are started. Though.
I get it.
Because when a country starts, like Germany in World War II, was doing all their own things, right? They started imprisoning their own people. They started attacking other countries. They were doing their own thing, but it got so bad that we were like, we have to fucking stop
I'm in agreement with you that I'm in agreement that we can't let it be taken over.
We can't let it fall into the hands of the bad guys.
Of Dr. Evil. However, but I also believe that if the people in Africa,
not the people, but that's why.
It's just
because it's the military.
Yeah, it's the military.
It's leaders of the military
that's
overthrowing.
That's how it's been happening for years.
Right, but then it does. I guess.
But then it's become a war. I get it.
But then you can
Cuba. Look at Cuba.
You can rationalize it more by saying no, but Cuba was the people. The people said, we want to have our own government.
No, Fidel Castro, I'm saying.
No, but he had the power of the people. That's how he came to power.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
This is two guys who have the power of the military saying, we run the country now. And the people are like, what the fuck? So that gives us more rationale.
We have to come in
and reasoning to be like,
that.
We can stop.
We're stopping the bullies.
Yeah, but then this article says, yet the sight of Nigerians waving pro-Putin protest signs and Russian flags.
Who knows how true that is, though? Who knows how true that is?
Well, so there's multiple things,
and there could be one flag out of 1,000 people,
right? But then, regardless, if let's say that's the case, right? Regardless, then this shows that the U.S. media is fueling propaganda to get us into a war.
I get it,
and that also is scary.
But we have no control over it. But I agree.
No,
with you.
but then let's say this is the truth, right? Then that means that Putin,
either way, then we are going to have a war.
Yeah, and that means that Putin, because Nigeria, or the people in Niger, I guess it's pronounced Nigerians, or Nigerians. It's not.
Oh, see how dumb they are.
That's their name too.
African people, Nigerians, Nigeria, Nigerians. I mean, give me a fucking break. Americans. I mean, idiots.
No, it's different languages too. They're not speaking English.
Of course it is dumb.
Those are translated into our, I don't think they call their country Nigeria. That's our, Japan, they don't call their country Japan. That's an English word. It's called Nippon. So it's like you saying Japan's such a stupid word. They don't call. So they might, I bet they don't call
I agree. Japan's better than Nippon.
But that's in their language, Nippon.
Yeah, what that language?
If this is true, the Nigerians in Niger they're not like, we love Putin. I don't think they think that. That means that Putin has been in there spending money, putting propaganda to get the people on his side.
Wait, did you destroy it?
To get the people on his side so that if we do go to a war, the local people, they're going to be like,
we already know because they've been there for 10 years.
He's our friend. We don't want the Americans coming in.
Get it. Well,
it's so bad.
Let's do this. Let's keep an eye on it. Keep us up to date.
Yeah. Can you not wash your hands here, please? It's so loud.
That's okay. It's no big deal.
Why did you do it in the bathroom?
Because he doesn't want to dirty it. All right.
It says these images provided a sharp contrast for a Western public that has frequently been told that Russian President Vladimir Putin is a pariah around the world.
Well, he's definitely in there.
Yeah, and then it says, in recent years, we have witnessed a new scramble for Africa with major powers like Russia and China, as well as growing regional powers such as the United Arab Emirates, which is Dubai.
Interesting.
Making substantial diplomatic and economic forays into
Well, then
the
America
continent.
is a little. By the way, they're a little slow to the fucking race.
But then that means so it's easily going to be World War III.
That's fine.
If we have,
but that's okay.
The Saudis,
but
the
okay,
Russians,
but we better
the
get.
Chinese,
But we better get our ass in there.
These powers, the somewhat problematic new scramble narrative goes, are displacing the influence of traditional powers
Swipe the counter.
like Britain and France. For example, in largely Francophone, which means French-speaking West Africa, France was once the dominant power in 9 of the region's 16 countries as of 1980, compared with only 3 today. So Western powers are losing our influence to these Eastern powers. Dubai, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia.
Biden.
That's so bad.
Biden.
If we lose our influence over the world, like,
We're no longer the powerhouse.
yeah, and then it's like in America, we're going to be, instead of watching
Well,
American movies and wearing American clothes, we're going to be watching Saudi movies and wearing Saudi clothes. And
Well,
that's
look what
horrible.
they're doing in
I don't
sport.
want that.
Look what they're doing in sports.
Exactly. They're winning.
We're allowing everybody in from other countries over the borders to take control. These become fucking voters.
Yep.
Don't you see the problem?
And so you see
everything's anti-American. This is the fucking problem.
And it's so interesting that it's like been trends, right? Because
You
you
kids,
said the sports, right? Like that was something we talked about a while ago, and then I talked about China buying the cobalt mines a while ago. But you see, these are like they've been stacking up the chessboard. They've been playing the long game,
Right,
and that's why I've been seeing the trends happening. And so when I see these skirmishes in Africa, I'm like, there's been set up for this, that it's going to be a big problem. It's going to be the World War III.
Unfortunately, we have the wrong government to do what needs to be done.
I think so. I think we really, coming into the next election, like with an African world war on the table, we need to elect a president that is going to be extremely strong militarily if Putin's propagandizing, he needs to be propagandizing harder.
And we need something to really make America strong. Strong.
Yeah. I want to show you these pictures coming out of New York about the migrants that are there, because it's actually crazy. And these are all African migrants that are coming out of this.
Right, put on a coaster because it stains the marble.
Look at these. And so I first saw a few these videos. They've been going around. I don't understand how.
Go ahead.
I don't understand how the logistics of this happens. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It feels fake to me.
What is it? Show me.
And that's just my gut feeling. So these are real videos out of New York City. Look at these.
Which is what?
These are all African migrants that are living on the street of New York City.
You got to be kidding me.
Dad, do you see this?
No,
describe it.
It looks worse than fucking San Francisco and LA.
But it's like, how are all the
people just lying?
Where all they come? Where they all come
people
from?
on the street.
What's their plan? It's
but wait,
like,
I'm not
it's like
trying.
they're all
I'm not
waiting
joking.
to get the new iPhone.
They look Spanish. They don't.
Some of them do, yeah.
They don't look black.
No, some of these don't. But I know a lot of these are from
I
Africa.
don't know. How do you know that?
Isn't this weird? Because that's
you go to wait in line for the iPhone.
That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
No, I've never seen somebody. Yeah, it makes no sense. But are you sure,
this?
Bronny?
Yes.
I'm
not sure.
I'm glad they're in New York.
Let's see. This is the New York mayor talking about it. Let's see.
He's a great fucking mayor. Another joke.
It says New York City's growing humanitarian crisis. I want to see where these migrants are from. If we can maybe find a link. Let's see. Let me connect so we can listen. But like, how does that make sense? Where are they all coming from?
No,
what's their plan?
What do you mean? They're going to fucking live off the American system?
But how? They're just all sitting on the street.
But they come here like any other people that came from over the border. It's the same thing. They're going to find a place to put them in hotels, ship them somewhere. That's what they can do. They can fucking money, iPhones. They all have fucking phones.
Right, let's see.
I guess New York City's growing humanitarian crisis. The shelter system slammed by an influx of migrants. New calls for federal help. I guess Greg Abbott was right. He said once he got blue cities to deal with this, that they would be very upset at the federal government.
Oh, so that's from MSNBC. Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas. So MSNBC just said the governor of Texas is right that the blue states can't handle the migrants.
Of course they can. We know
this
that.
is one of the videos I was looking at.
There's no way.
Dad, look at this. So these
look at this.
They're all Africans.
Okay, pause. You know they're coming with diseases. They have to be coming with diseases.
That's not even my first. But
let me see this. Play this.
I just don't understand. I don't understand where. So this.
Let me see this fucked
guy.
up woman.
This is
let me see it.
Mauritanian migrant.
I've seen it here. We spent the night here and the day as well. We wish they can move us to another place. Like
This is
safe
Midtown
place.
Manhattan. Vanderbilt and
All week here, it's not safe. It's dangerous.
How do people get into stores?
scores of migrants were sleeping outside the Roosevelt Hotel after New York City.
Okay.
Like
3 days or 4 days.
they've been there 3-4 days
Oh
when this
my
video is
God.
taken. This was August 1st. I
Okay,
don't
that's
understand.
disgusting.
Like, look at the videos and pictures coming out of it.
disgusting.
I genuinely don't understand what
Thank God I don't fucking live there.
But what's the plan? And then,
I
like,
don't
where are
know.
these people going to go? Where are they
No,
coming
and you
from?
know what's
How
gonna-
are we
they're
letting
gonna-
them all
they're gonna
in?
commit crimes. You know that, right? That's where people do desperate things.
Let's see. This is New York Congressman Jamal Bowman, a Democrat, said the migrant crisis in New York will cost the Democrats seats in 2024.
Have to win
Let's
at least
go back to
4.
the video.
We need leadership from President Biden, period. Democrats are looking bad right now in New York State, and that's unacceptable when we have to win at least 4 congressional seats to take back the House. So hopefully the president is listening.
So they're already turning, like he said,
they're
we need
making
help, and they're not
political-
getting
yeah.
help. No, but that's like all. That's a huge problem. Those pictures, like,
Flowing
look
with
at
migrants.
Wait a minute.
New York City is overflowing with migrants seeking asylum.
there's thousands of them.
90,000 people have arrived in our city and have gone through the process.
What
New York
process?
City has done more than any other level of government to address this national crisis.
Many migrants arrived on buses chartered by Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
The migrants and asylum seekers who are outside of the intake facility right now are largely African
See,
migrants.
African.
They are folks who
Look at
have
all
made
these
the
people.
journey from
Amen.
the southern border, similar to other folks, to New York City, and are seeking just a little bit of care by going to the intake facility to get some shelter.
The city announced plans to house up to 2,000 migrants on Randall's Island.
We're going to continue to do the best of what New York has to do. And the question is, what more can the state and the federal government be doing?
Hey, you know, by the way, I hate to say this, you know there's going to be a lot of crime. There's going to be, I'm sorry, Bronson.
Yeah.
There's going because
And this is these coups are just starting. Like, these migrants are going to keep coming.
I look at this as an unsafe environment. You're going to crime, drug, homelessness. We can't take care of our own people. We're going to, I'm sorry. We can't solve every
And
problem.
it's crazy. So they're coming in. They're not flying to New York. They're coming in through Mexico.
Right.
So they're somehow. But then that's the other thing. How is as a refugee in Niger who right, these people? I don't know how much money they have.
They find ways. No, they ship
How do they
them.
get to Mexico? Who's paying for that? Like, it feels.
It's like
it
criminals
feels
find money
sus
to pay
me.
their lawyers. They find ways to fucking get money.
To get to fly. Like, where are they flying
And
from?
good job for the
Niger
Texas-
to Mexico. There are flights there.
Great job for the Texas government fucking shipping them up. Good
No,
for
that's
them.
that's just pushing a problem off to someone
It
else.
ain't his fucking problem that come because no one supports the fucking borders down in between Mexico and
No, I
Texas.
know that's the real problem.
That's the real problem.
And it's not Mexican that the problem. It's the African
No,
migrants.
but what do we?
the-
Everyone coming over from fucking the Mexican borders by Texas. They're not from Mexico.
That's what I'm saying. None of them are Mexican.
They're from all
It's
these other
crazy.
fucking Brazil, all these other fucking places.
Yeah, not
It's
many
a problem.
Brazilian migrants.
But, okay,
coming.
you know
a
what
lot
I
of
mean.
people are going to Brazil.
You know what I mean.
Too.
But either way, it's not Mexicans.
Yeah, it's scary. I look at those images and I'm like, that it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's gonna be more homeless, more crime, more drugs.
90,000 people just sleeping on the streets of New York now.
That's- by the way,
and what are they going to do with them? Where are they going to go?
That's just the beginning, Bronny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because
I
these
know.
coups, as these get more and more, and let's say we do go into a war, it'll get worse and worse. We'll have more and more. Like, when World War II happened, so many Germans, Swedes, Poles, Czechs came to America, right? Like, that was Ellis Island. And New York became, right? New York now
melting pot.
is a melting pot because of that. Before that, that wasn't really the case. It was kind of just
Now
like Italians and Irish.
Now it's a boiling pot.
Yeah, but like New York became so diverse because of all the immigrants in World War II. If we have an African war, New York will be it'll be
New York's
full of
Africa. It's
African
already-
migrants.
New York's
and New
already
York's
Africa.
already overrun.
New York's already Africa.
If we add millions of people into New York, it's going to be
we can just call New York one big Harlem.
Harlem's not African.
I'm just saying, man, it's going to be a different world.
Yeah.
I'm worried about it. I'm telling you, it's a major problem.
Yeah, it's a major problem, and that's just the little tip of the iceberg of a symptom that we're experiencing in America.
Look, we've
the
had,
coups
Bronson,
are
we've
it's
had
so
over
scary.
5 million people coming over the borders illegally. Okay, they still keep coming in drones. We got a major problem.
Right, but then it doesn't make sense to me if the governor of Texas
I'd
But-
fucking take them out of my backyard.
bring them back.
No,
Why
we
would you bring
can't
them
bring 'em
deeper
back.
into the country?
We can't bring
Of
them
course
back.
you can. So he's spending wait. Can I finish? He's spending taxpayer dollars.
Yes, but
to
he can't
charter
stop
buses
them from coming over. He doesn't want them in
Keep
his
sending
place.
them back.
How's he
So
sending
you're
them
gonna
back?
on the same buses that he's sending them to New York.
Send them back to where?
To Mexico.
And
to
then
bring
they
them
come back again.
Yeah, so
No.
that's cheaper than bringing them fucking
okay.
to New York.
All right, no,
deeper into our country.
He
reliant on our country.
The governor from Texas needs the fucking federal government to stop to have people there to stop them from coming in the borders. But the
but if
fucking
that's not
liberals,
gonna happen.
But the liberals are saying no, let them in, and they're saying okay, fine, let them in Texas. But now we're bringing them up to their fucking backyard.
But it's not.
No,
but New York is still part of our country.
Stop. The Democrats.
That affects us.
If the Democrats are letting them fucking in and not helping the governor of Texas, then the governor's saying, then you fucking have them in your backyard.
Yeah, but that
I
still
agree with
hurts
that.
us.
But then we can't stop them, Bronson.
But just turn them around. Don't spend money
It
to bring them
doesn't
deeper
work.
in.
Don't you say that? Because
But does bring them to New York work?
But because
or does
we're
it make the
saying
problem worse?
If you want it, if you're okay with it, then you take care of
But
them.
it makes the problem worse.
The problem's there. We can't stop them from coming in because the government's not supporting it.
But then. So you're saying we can't stop them from coming in, so let's just bring them deeper in.
No.
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying, okay, listen to me. If I'm saying help me, we can't stop them from we need help. And if you said, don't worry about it, no, let them in. I say, then you know what? I'm dropping off in your front yard.
No,
Let's see
but
you
instead of
handle
saying
it.
I need help and I can't help you, I'm going to turn you around instead of saying here,
Turn
let
them
me
around
see
to
how I
where?
Back where they just turn the bus right back.
No, it doesn't work.
But you're chartering a bus for thousands of miles to New York. No, bring the bus right back to over the border.
To Mexico.
They keep coming back. Just keep doing it. Yes.
No, because here's the problem. They're going to keep. No, it doesn't work that way. I think and what we're saying is maybe now you don't want them in your fucking backyard. Maybe you'll give me help stop all the illegal people coming in.
But New York gets federal. You're saying we don't want to spend our federal money on them, on our tax money. Some of our tax money goes to New York.
We want the federal government going to stop to them people coming from over the borders illegally, and the Democrats, because it's in the federal government, is saying no because we're woke.
So you're saying if we show them how bad the problem is, maybe they'll eventually
they're like, I don't want them in my problem, right?
Yeah,
and I don't want them in my fucking backyard.
Yeah,
it's your problem. Listen, if you have roaches in your apartment in New York City, call the exterminator.
Don't compare migrants to roaches.
I'm not comparing to migrants. Okay. If you have a rat problem, listen, if you have a rat problem, you know the rats are going to be in the building. But you say exterminator, listen, I don't want them in my apartment. I don't care if the neighbors down the road. Just get them out of my apartment. It's human. That's human being. All right, let's go. I love you.
Love you,
Ronnie,
too.
take care. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait.
What?
I want to give one. I want to say to my listeners. So Brycey Boo has started a whole cooking thing on Instagram.
We dropped it on the last episode. We definitely can drop it again. Yeah.
But I want you, he's come up with 2 or 3 videos. I really like him. I want all my listeners to follow him, please, on Instagram. It's Steak Fried Bryce, BRYCE.
At Steak Fried Bryce.
At Steak Fried Bryce. They're great stuff. Support him. Go log on and follow him, please. It would mean a lot to me in Bronson. Now I love you, Bronny. Bye, everybody. You're joking, right?
Well, I'm trying to be hopeful. I'm trying to be optimistic about that.
Well, I guess you're too young to be a little pessimistic like me. The fucking things I see out there, people are stupid.